My amplified unit, mount up. Red team, go! Channel members, activate those gold cards. It is indeed time to wake up, and get amplified. Make sure you do all the things down below. Super kick that like button, power bomb the sub button, DDT the notification button, and lock the channel membership into a damn sharpshooter, will ya? Because we have a packed, amped up podcast today for Friday, April 14th, 2023. BC is doing some heavy traveling this week, so these amped ups are being recorded as legit traditional podcasts in audio format only. But there was no way you guys weren't getting content. Believe that, playa. Holla, 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 Teddy Long. Oh, we rocking, bro. We got a ton to talk about. Like word that Seth Rollins walked out of WWE last Monday night during that bizarre sing-along segment. BC has the latest on that, and it might not be exactly what you've heard, but where there's smoke, yes, there's usually fire. BC's going to discuss the Seth Rollins fallout with the WWE. Also, in this very amped up podcast, CM Punk. His AEW return date has possibly been revealed. And now, finally, the quote, AEW needs CM Punk portion of the wrestling community can finally chill out. Go outside, get fresh air, get a good night's sleep, spend some time with the old lady, RELAX, relax. Your savior is on his way back to AEW. BC is going to give his candid thoughts on what better happen next. So many people have cried for months that this needs to happen, that he is the needle mover. He is the savior of AEW. Well, here you go. You got what you wished for. It is showtime. BC kept those receipts. Now it's time to cash in. We talk all about it coming up in this amped up podcast. And speaking of a portion of the pro wrestling world all up in their feelings, the announcement of the May 27th Saudi show for WWE changing from the King and Queen of the Ring to the new title Night of Champions has fans legitimately upset. To which BC would ask, why? Why? Another nonsensical pro wrestling tournament to decide which mid-carder gets to wear that silly robe, stupid crown, and talk with a nauseating royal accent. That's just what we need. Said nobody ever. However, a Night of Champions event in Saudi poses one massive, and BC does mean monumental issue. A massive problem for two of WWE's champions. I think you guys know exactly what I am talking about. We're going to keep the cold open short and sweet. That is the setup in terms of topics for today's podcast. Now there's only one thing left to do. Pop in those earbuds or throw on them headphones and listen to BC talk that wrestling game like nobody, and I do mean nobody, can do like we do. It is time to get amplified. I do believe there's only one place to start right from the jump with the King and Queen tournaments being removed from the Saudi show May 27th, or at least in title anyway, now being called Night of Champions. Now, I'm sure a lot of the wrestling community is going to be bickering and debating and arguing over the next month of whose decision this was. This has Vince McMahon written all over it. No, this is a Triple H call. Can't you see that? Nuh-uh, this is VKM through and through. And this is what we're going to do for everything. Every time there's a good segment, every time there's a bad segment, every time there's a change, every time somebody takes a shit, we're going to wonder, was it Vince or Triple H? It's fucking mind-blowingly nauseating at this point, but this is what we're doing. As a wrestling community, this is how bad it's gotten that this is the big discussion in the wrestling community. What's Vince and what's H? Well, they're both in this thing together. Let's blame them both. And if one doesn't like what the other is doing, they could easily call that shit out. If you're H, you can walk the fuck away. Nothing is keeping you there. You're a multi-millionaire 10 times over, with a $5 million bonus recently with this Endeavor deal. There's nothing else you gotta fucking prove or do, man. But this is what we do now. If it's bad, it's Vince. If it's good, it's H. All because this guy gave us a couple of good NXT years, thanks to the William Regals and the Dusty Rhodeses that set it up on a silver platter on his father-in-law's dime, by the way. It was all on Vince's dime. It was all on his cards. It was all on him. And he never turned a profit from NXT, by the way. Vince never turned a profit. So H ran that thing for a few years pretty decently. Then times got rough and H was fucking horrendous. Got booted over to Tuesdays. Got health issues from this shit. His heart couldn't even take it. And then now here we are fucking praising the guy, putting him on a pedestal. It's absolutely insane to me. When I see something bad from here on out, it's going to be Vince and H, I assure you. If you're going to call yourself the head of creative, then your name is attached to everything going out. You can't play it both ways. You can't get all the praise when things go good, and then when things go bad, go, it was him. But you ain't got to worry about that. He never blames Vince for shit anyway. The fans always do, and then H throws the fans under the bus and says, you don't know what you're talking about. My father-in-law knows what's best for business, and it's a vicious cycle. We praise everything H does. We shit on McMahon. H comes to his defense, throws us under the bus, and it's rinse and repeat. So no, on this channel, I'm not giving Triple H any benefit of the doubt. I'm not giving him any mulligans, and I'm not putting him on any fucking pedestal. Get the fuck off the pedestal. So here we are. We changed the names of the name of the May 27th Saudi show. King and Queen of the Ring is gone. Night of Champions is in its place. And a big portion of the wrestling community is fucking crying already, right? Why did they do that? This is so stupid. We need a king and we need a queen. We need a king and queen of WWE like we need a fucking Omos or a Nia Jax. Stop it. Nobody needs another silly mid-carder with fucking another robe, scepter, crown, nauseating accent gimmick. Nobody needs that shit. Was King Woods not enough for you? How about King Corbin? Does anybody remember that shit? That went off well, didn't it? Queen Zelina switches to the accent. Well, what do you want next? Queen Carmella? Because that's what you're going to get. Queen Carmella, and here she comes. More nauseating than before. Listen, I don't even mind the King Woods and King Zelina. All right, but when you start talking King Corbin, King Carmella, what are we doing? What are we fucking doing? And that's all it is now. This tournament for King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring, it's WWE's way to be lazy. First of all, they don't have to put any effort into this. You literally make about 8 weird matches, right? It's all scripted. It's all predetermined. So tournaments in pro wrestling have always mind-boggled BC as to why so many people like them. As if it's a real tournament, like it's the playoffs in the NFL or the NBA playoffs or the World Series. And the playoff leading up to it, what are we doing? It's all scripted. You are letting creative, and I use that term loosely, by the way, you're letting them off the hook. They grab a Post-it note, a crayon, and they scribble in 8 matches full of mid-carders. Now he's gonna win, and he's gonna win, and then they take it on each other, and then he's gonna win, and then when it's done, we'll have Corbin win the King of the Ring, and Zelina will win here. And this year, it's going to be Carmella, and we'll have Omos, yes, King Omos, and we'll put a crown on him, we'll put a robe on him, and it'll be King Omos and Queen Carmella, and just when you thought their gimmicks couldn't get any fucking worse, here you go. You're letting them off the hook. No, pro wrestling should be about larger-than-life characters and storylines that captivates us, and feuds that we give a shit about. I mean, to wait weeks to do this stupid, predetermined, fully rehearsed tournament where the winners are drawn out in crayon weeks in advance by the time we finally got the winner. Meanwhile, for the whole 4 weeks that this whole stupid tournament's going on, the fucking creative staff, and I use that loosely, they're all sipping martinis at a resort somewhere. As if they do anything as it is, because I don't see anything creative on these damn shows, ever. Basic. So let's let them off the hook some more. They'll draw this out, because that's how it would be. You'd see most of this tournament on Raws and SmackDowns, guys. And then the King and Queen tournament, it'll probably just be the semifinals and the finals, right? But because it's King and Queen, that would take up literally the whole night. So maybe you just see maybe you still get this shit. Maybe every single week, because this, again, it kills time, and it's easy, lazy booking. Maybe they still do this fucking tournament for the King and Queen of the Ring, and at Night of Champions, you just get the finals. I think Crown Jewel would be a better place for it anyway, later in the year. Usually, around November-ish, they run their second Saudi show. That's usually called the Crown Jewel. Well, that doesn't that make more sense? I don't know why we're rushing this for a May event anyway, like WWE or the pro wrestling world desperately needs a King of the Ring and a Queen of the Ring in WWE. It is utter bullshit that we're even talking about this. But it was probably only good. You'll probably still get the damn tournament on Raw and SmackDown, because it's going to be very simplistic, easy peasy booking for creative. And then you'll still get the finals probably at Night of Champions. So everybody crying, relax. You'll probably still get your stupid tournaments to determine your new stupid king and stupid queen. Everybody crying like this matters. I don't know what the obsession is with tournaments with pro wrestling fans. I really don't. BC cannot stand them. If you're new to the channel, you're going to find out quick. I cannot stand tournaments. I didn't mind them growing up because they were done sporadically. It felt important. There was prestige to tournaments, like WrestleMania 4, by the way. When the bulk of WrestleMania 4 was actually a tournament to decide the championship. The actual World Heavyweight Championship, and the Macho Man, Randy Savage, the Macho Man, he rose to the top. The cream always rises to the top. Macho Man ended up winning that shit. Spoiler, for those of you that... $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, was phenomenal in that tournament. That was fun, man. WrestleMania 4, I'll never forget that shit. The first King of the Rings, man. When you think of some of who was labeled King of the Rings, you look at the list of names from Harley Race to Randy Savage to Ted DiBiase, Tito Santana, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Stone Cold, Don Morocco, fucking Edge, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. People don't even remember that. Booker T, that actually worked, that gimmick. King Booker. I actually liked that when he sported that gimmick. But that's when it was good, you know? And then you go into the Corbins and you're asking yourself, what the fuck? King Woods, it was clear they didn't have anything for King Woods. I didn't mind the gimmick per se, but after a month, you started going down the nauseating route. But I'll cut myself off there because that's the past. We want to look to the future. And WWE has been shit since coming out of Night 2 of WrestleMania. They have just not been themselves. The company is off as a whole. And if you think that what's going to put WWE back on the tracks and in the right direction is a King and Queen tournament, wrong answer. There's a lot of things right now we can moan and complain and rant about and spit truth on, drop facts on when it comes to pro wrestling, especially WWE. But if you think that a tournament to decide which two mid-carders we're going to give 5 minutes of spotlight to before they're right back into the assembly line of nothingness, the pit of obscurity, no, that's not going to help WWE. That's not the answer to the questions. It's not the solution to the problems in WWE. We have to force them to get creative. Force them to do such, man. A Night of Champions. Okay, what the title holders versus what other champions? Title holders versus number one contender. You better give us storylines. Make us care. Captivate us. Grab and grasp our attention. But a tournament is what everybody starts crying about. And it's been this way. I mean, to ask my question I asked a couple minutes ago, I don't know the obsession with tournaments. Again, back in the day, they were prestigious. Nowadays, we see tournaments for everything, guys. There was a tournament to declare the best in the world. You guys remember that? There's tournaments to decide number one contenders. There's a tournament for everything. Tournament to decide who sits next to your grandmother at Thanksgiving. Well, fuck yeah, man. Sign us up for that. Why is there only 8 spots? Let's expand. Let's move the goalpost, and let's make this a 16-person tournament. There's 2 spots next to grandma. Let's really make this epic. A tournament for everything. And nobody gets sick of them. It seems like we have a tournament every 2 months, bare minimum. And there's a portion of fans that can't get enough. It's rehearsed. It's predetermined. Pro wrestling is not meant to have a tournament this often. And it's amazing that some people actually get excited every year for the King of the Ring. Oh, man, I can't wait to see who it is this year, man. It was Bad News Barrett in 2015. It was Baron Corbin in 2019. It was Xavier Woods in 2021. I don't even know who it's going to be in 2022, man. It could be Omos. Could you imagine King Omos? BC, it's King Omos. Yes, it's so intriguing right now. I just can't hold back the excitement to watch a 4-week tournament take up my TV, as if there's already nothing creative in WWE, because there really isn't. Coming out of Mania, all the stories should have ended anyway. We're being told they're still going. The bloodline is still going with who? Cody? But Sammy? I don't even fucking know. There's nothing intriguing. A 6-man tag for Backlash with Usos and Solo versus Kevin, Sammy, and Scooter McGee for some reason. He intertwined it into this feud. And it's not the same anymore, man. The Sammy Owens bloodline thing, it's done. You guys know it, man. I'm all for long-term storytelling. And trust me. But you have to read the room. You have to get that feeling. Always go with your gut. We all know that at WrestleMania, those stories culminated. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. We had months of build on that. Months. It was great. Over pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view. Cody and Roman, that sold itself in a different way. Cody's redemption that everybody still thinks he needs to do and his earning of it. He was doing that for years and years. That's his whole story. But Sami Zayn and Roman, they had something on a different level. All of Bloodline. Owens was intertwined beautifully. The whole thing worked out awesome. WrestleMania was the culmination of all of it. And then you have to get creative and jump off from there. You start a new book. I don't understand why everybody is just obsessed with continuing the story so we can sound like smart wrestling fans and go, it's long-term storytelling. You just don't have the patience for it. No, we do. We loved it. We loved the Sami thing. Most of us loved the Cody thing with Roman, even though that was shorter than the Sami. We get it, right? We loved it. The Rey Mysterio Dominic, that was actually long, very long. You could say from birth if you're Dominic. But that thing was dragging out, man, for weeks. It was just if Rey's going to even punch Dominic, right? But we loved it. Okay, it's not that we don't like long, but we love it. And it was done beautifully in those scenarios. But you don't drag it out past its due date. You know, you got to know when to end something before it just goes into, unfortunately, guys, if you keep something going for too long, it becomes stale. It actually starts going into the negative. You start getting a negative effect from it. You start to see negatives pop up more than positives. You got to know when to end something. In the real world, with relationships or maybe jobs that you know it's just time to walk away from. And in pro wrestling, you got to know when to walk away from a story. It's okay to start a new book. See, the creative, and again, I use that loosely, they love this, right? Because they just drag it on. They don't care if it's getting bad or not. They're just dragging on the same characters in the same situations over and over, rinse and repeat. But for the fans, for the company, whether they know it or not, it's not good. And now you're going to start seeing weird shit like this 6-man fucking tag. How many times are we going to see Sami in wrestling action with the Usos or solo? Owens by now, who's the newest member to the feud, before Scooter McGee, but the last 2 months, we've already seen him in solo, him versus the Usos. I mean, how many times are we going to see this? Now we're just interchanging some parts, right? We're adding a fucking Scooter McGee. That's not a storyline anymore. It's done. Roman went home with his championships while Cody is taking on Brock, which should have been for the title in the main event of Backlash, and that would be the whole reason Brock would attack Cody. But no, none of it makes sense because we were told the story's not over. Because Roman has to hit 1,000 days and we're going to try this back, in 4 months at SummerSlam when the moment is not as special or as epic, lightning in a bottle like WrestleMania? No, nobody needs to see that shit. We're not going to sound stupid and say Cody needs to earn it, or he needs to struggle more, or he needs more redemption. No, as Cody told those fans on Monday, fuck off. I am it, he said. I love that. His whole story has been the redemption and the struggle and earning it. And adversity and overcoming such adversity. Stop that shit. You know, too many times wrestling fans try to sound smart by saying stupid wrestling terminology without actually knowing what the stupid wrestling terminology even fucking means, so it makes them even more stupid than going into the conversation. Storyline should have ended at Mania, and then we start new. It's not just because it's an end day, right? WrestleMania should end all storylines. No, but usually that's just the way it works out. It reaches its culminating point. That's what Mania's always has been about. Sometimes, though, it calls for it dragging out. I understand. But for these main stories, no, that was pretty much it. You got the good out of it, you told the stories beautifully, and now you have to get creative. And here's a crazy concept. Creative has to get creative. And you have to start a new book for these wrestlers, man. Let's start a new book. It's okay to finish a book and start a new one. But no, and everyone lets them off the hook. Basically, I don't mind, man. There's more story to tell. No, there's not. We tapped it. Like a fucking tapped keg. It is fucking done. It's tapped. And you let them off the hook. So the rest of 2023, we have no fun storylines because we're going to drag out the same storylines we had in 2022 going into WrestleMania 23? No. WrestleMania 39 in 2023. But no, we come on, stop letting them off the hook. Start a new book and let's start getting creative for all these wrestlers. Every wrestler should have a good storyline going right now. At the bare minimum, we should have 3 to 5 really good storylines between SmackDown and Raw. Why do we have none right now? Because we don't. Roman's at home with his titles, sipping a fucking margarita on his fucking Tampa porch. Good for him. There's nothing going on right now. The Brock and Cody thing should be a good match, but we're not talking about it in a positive way because it didn't start off in a positive way. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And now every show, Scooter McGee is going to be running down to help Sammy and Kevin, and that's going to be the main storyline because fucking Brock doesn't show up to work, so Cody's going to have to sell that by himself. Roman doesn't show up to work, so you're not going to have him involved in any way. So you're going to see the fucking Usos and Solo and Matt Riddle and Owens and Zayn every fucking show going forward till Backlash. How does that excite you? No, this company needs to get creative, and the answer for a lot of fans is a tournament. We're crying because we don't have a King of the Ring or a fucking Queen of the Ring tournament. We can't crown Omos and Carmella, basically. I need to see a scripted tournament over the next month and a half. Who the fuck wants to spend... When's the 27th of May, by the way? Is that a Saturday? Saturday, I believe. Who the fuck wants to spend a Saturday afternoon watching a scripted fucking tournament that they wrote out 4 weeks ago? That is not pro wrestling, man. If it was once in a while, okay, it would be prestigious. It would be special. You know, time and thought, energy was put into it. Now we're just literally, we're taking a Post-it note, we're taking a crayon, maybe a Sharpie, right? Maybe they're getting buck wild over there at headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, right? They just moved into their new headquarters, guys, across the street from where we used to be. So maybe they're all feeling buck wild and they took out a Sharpie. But they're drawing out fucking the whole tournament, right? Ricochet will take on Viking Raider Ivar. Montez will take on Omos. Dawkins will take on Drew Gulak. For the women, Doo-Doo Drop will take on Carmella, and Natty will take on Zelina. Shotzi will take on Chelsea Green. Oh, sounds riveting. Oh, fuck, this tournament. Oh, fuck, man, it gets our rocks off. Can't fucking wait for the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. Listen, guys, if you love tournaments, good for you, man. Honestly, I'm not throwing shade at that. I don't know how, personally, we could not be more farther off from one another at that point, because I can't stand tournaments, and maybe it's because WWE ran them into the wall. Like I said, there's a tournament for everything these days, and you add in AEW, and then they do them, and I don't recall NXT doing too many, but I know they did a few. It's nauseating. It's absolutely fucking nauseating. These tournaments at a time where we need creative in pro wrestling desperately. More than anything, we need creativity. And we have more tournaments now than ever before. It's another way, in a massive way, for creative to be uncreative, to be lazy, to be lackluster, to give us the bare minimum of content. And we all watch a bunch of scripted matches for no fucking reason. There's no story attached to it other than the end goal is to be called king, and they get the stupid accent, basically. They're gonna start talking like a king, basically. They're gonna wear the robe and have a scepter and a crown, and they're gonna be a fucking king, basically. But basically, they're gonna be a king. King Omos. King Carmella. King Carmella. Corey Graves is going to be married to a queen. Queen Carmella, basically. Queen. King is Omos. Queen Carmella. Corey Graves is going to have a queen. Whatever, guys. Whatever floats your boat is fine. But if you think that that's going to ignite the wrestling world, if you think that that's going to be exciting for people like BC Amplified, it's the opposite. It makes me want to miss the fucking event. But again, if you're crying about it today, if you're like, this is a Vince McMahon decision, I can't believe he changed it. I was marking my calendar every day till we get to the King and Queen tournaments. If that's you, relax. RELAX. You're probably still going to get it, guys. Either at Crown Jewel, you'll probably get it, or you might get it leading into the 27th. I truly believe a lot of these matches were going to be Raw and SmackDown anyway, and then the semifinals and the finals would have been at the pay-per-view. Maybe you're only going to get the finals now. Yes, well, BC, it makes it less prestigious because it's the King and Queen tournament, but we're only getting the finals, so it's separated too much. Well, guys, what do you want? The tournament is a joke anyway to WWE. They're probably laughing at us, the people or anybody that does actually get excited for it. They probably laugh at you because they know it's a fucking farce. They put no care into this. I mean, look at that. They're throwing Baron Corbin, Xavier Woods, Zelina. I'm proud that Zelina, got a moment. Woods got a moment, but it was just that. It was a moment. They had no direction for them, right? I could see if that led to a real push, guys, right? Like, BC, you don't understand. The King and Queen of the Ring, man, it leads to a mega push. No, it doesn't, guys. No, it doesn't. You can't tell me Zelina got a mega push from that. You can't tell me that Xavier Woods got a mega push. You can't tell me that Baron Corbin is any more special now than he was before. In fact, let's not even get into fucking boring Corbin, please. The King of the Ring maybe even fucking hurt him more than going into it without the fucking robe or the fucking crown. You could make the argument that these tournaments are hurting the motherfuckers now. Guys, that's the talk. I know that's, it's early right now, and that's one of the biggest topics right now in the pro wrestling world. The fact that WWE has changed King and Queen of the Ring, May 27th in Saudi, to Night of Champions. Now, the bigger problem here, guys, before I wrap up this conversation, there is a massive issue that needs to be addressed, and that is, you guys know what I'm talking about. If it's a Night of Champions, you would think all championships have to be defended. That's obvious. Especially titles that main evented WrestleMania Night 1. Yeah, now you guys know what I'm talking about. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, tag title holders. Does this mean that they have to drop the titles beforehand? And when? On a random Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown? Because May 6th, they're going to have a 6-man tag tagging up with Scooter McGee taking on the Bloodlines, Usos, and Solo. So they're not losing it at Backlash, it doesn't look like. So it's going to be a random Raw or a SmackDown. Or are they just going to keep Sami and Owens just off the event with no explanation? Maybe they get jumped, attacked, and that's what rid them off TV. But still, you don't have your tag titles defended on a show that is called Night of Champions. That is a massive problem. For those of you that don't know why Sami Zayn does not work the Saudi dates, you guys can find the info out yourself. I'm not going to get into that. There's a big, that's a whole nother discussion. And in support of that, Kevin Owens does not work the Saudi dates. So Owens, Sami Zayn, they will not be there, and they are your tag title holders. They main evented Night 1 of Mania. They are key components and players right now for WWE. That is a massive, and I'm talking monumental, man. Sometimes we say that, and we're kind of, it doesn't live up to the hype, but this is a monumental, a massive problem for WWE. You titled it Night of Champions, and your fucking tag title holders will not be on hand. It's going to be interesting to see how they play that. I don't want to see them dropping the titles just because of this one event. I don't like to see hot potato. Owens and Zayn won at Night 1. Now you rock with them. You really make this special. And it's Zayn and Owens. They should not be dropping titles a month later. So I don't know how they play this, man. That's the one massive issue that you have, going to Saudi and calling your event Night of Champions. That's the one problem BC has, is that I hope they have this ironed out. And something tells me they have nothing figured out. They probably have no fucking idea how they're going to have Sami and Kevin Owens not show up to that event. But I assure you, they will not be showing up to that event. So that's a big problem that WWE is going to have on their hands. Let's go over to a new topic now. We spent enough time. That was the main topic, guys, so that's always going to get the most time. We'll go over now. Interesting topic. Interesting development. Seth Rollins. Now, I didn't even notice, guys. This is how irrelevant Seth Rollins has been to BC, and I know that's sad, man. You guys know I give the utmost respect to Seth Rollins. One of the best wrestlers in the world, easily. What he did for Cody Rhodes, phenomenal. That's why I say Seth Rollins should not be the one defeating Roman Reigns. Some people have that notion, and I know Roman said he would like to drop it to Seth, and Seth said he wants Roman at 40, WrestleMania 40. And I'm like, guys, stop. Seth Rollins is nowhere near there, first of all, right? He's not as over as people think right now because his song. Okay, it sounds like he's over. I get it. But there's a lot of fans like BC. We don't even know what the character is. You lost 3 times to Cody. Cody couldn't get the job, but you're the one who's going to do it. That's going to be a bigger moment, and we got to wait another year for it. That's going to be bigger than Cody this year, and that place about to just explode. No, come on, bro. As much as we love and respect Seth Rollins, we got to be honest. That nowhere near Roman Reigns. And we saw that so many times in the past already, by the way. It's no, just no, please. Let's not be stupid here. But Seth Rollins, he's just become so irrelevant to BC. I mean, maybe it was just so many times taking on Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley for the damn United States Championship. Again, because Roman didn't want to work Mondays. Roman barely wants to work these days. So they had to try to make the U.S. title as important as the world title. Now, I love trying to make titles prestigious, but the way they went about this was just ass backwards. It was pathetic. The title was the opposite of prestigious. It was being defended left and right. It was being passed around more than sunny days. It was literally just a hot potato. And I don't see how anybody could sit there for a second and go, wow, the U.S. title is so prestigious, when it's on Bobby Lashley, then it's on Theory, then Rollins, then back to Theory, then Lashley, then back to Rollins, Theory again, back to Rollins. Every fucking week on Monday Night Raw, guys, it was something to do with Theory, Rollins, Lashley in some form or facet. And then you get to the pay-per-view, and it was the same thing. I remember one pay-per-view was a triple threat. Maybe 2 of them involving the same individuals. Maybe that's what did it for BC. And just Seth Rollins not clicking for me. Maybe it was just the weirdness in his character. I don't understand the character. Sometimes he's like the Joker. Sometimes he gets really like, he gets serious into the old Seth Rollins. Like when he's yelling at The Miz, he totally abandons the character, the Joker type character. And it reaches obnoxious levels with the outfits, guys. The big red boots and wearing Becky's wardrobe or lingerie that she would wear at night, or just weird shit. You say, well, BC, that's the character. We don't know what it is. It's weird. One of the smartest things he did is one night when he's sitting at home with Becky on the couch, he said, damn, I love when they do your song. Becky's the beginning of her song. And everybody kind of does that, and I'm pretty sure he was like thinking of Jericho and like how heels, they have these songs that people can sing to. NXT, it did the fucking Glorious, Shinsuke has his sing along. Who else? Finn Balor, when he does the arm thing, there's just certain things, Cody Rhodes. There's things where the audience participate, and he came back with his long song, and it's gotten nauseating already. At first, the first 20, 30 seconds of an entrance, okay. But now they just sit on it for 5 minutes, and the crowd just sounds like zombies as they do this oh. But it got him to the point where people think he's so over. What they don't understand is once you stop singing the song, people are still indifferent to Seth Rollins. They don't know how to take the dude. I don't think Seth Rollins understands what his character even is, guys. And I know that's hard to hear. But my point is that Monday night, I didn't even realize he wasn't on the show, guys. How sad is that? I did not realize Seth Rollins was not on the show. Didn't realize it. And this is a guy who was a big part of every show with Theory and Lashley for the longest time because Roman didn't want to show up. And it's sad to say that. And he put the company on his back. I understand. But there's just no connection to what Seth Rollins is, what he's doing, where he's going. There's no connection at all. And even he seems to be a little frustrated with creative in where things are going. Last Monday, they had him go out there and just do the through a commercial. Didn't even know he was going on commercial, by the way. Freddie Prinze, I believe, podcast. I think this is where I saw this quote. Either he or a friend of Freddie Prinze was there, and they could hear Seth Rollins audibly upset and saying, "Why are we going to commercial?" Rollins was screaming, "Why are we going to commercial?" He was upset. There is video that surfaced of Rollins talking to production during the commercial. He didn't look too happy. They were trying to explain to him something. When we come back from commercial, Rollins just does the with the crowd sing-along for like another 10, 20, 30 seconds tops, and then he just walks out. Now we're hearing report that he actually walked out of WWE that night, right out of Raw, did not come back. Sure enough, when I check back on the notes, Rollins was not on that show Monday night. Now, if you look to like a social media type deal, a few days after Raw, that last Monday night's Raw, a few days later, I think it was like that Friday, maybe before SmackDown, he had posted just that segment. And I think he said like, "What a life." And he talked, and it just shows him doing the sing-along. But why would he wait till Friday to post that up? I believe that was the 7th when he posted it. Days after that whole scenario and everybody talking about how bizarre that segment was. It was awkward. And we haven't really heard too much more from Rollins since. So if you're saying, well, BC, how much truth do you think is in it? Because that's another big story this morning, Friday, April 14th. That's one of the stories, if you haven't heard yet, you're going to come across. If you're asking BC how much validity could be into this story, how much truth can be associated to the story, I would say a lot, guys. I mean, there's a lot we don't know. I don't know if it was just like he walked out and didn't go back to work since. I don't think it's like that. I think there's definitely dialogue with 3 H's. But I think he was upset. I think there was definitely a production or a booking botch, or somebody or bodies went overtime. That script was changed 87 times, we're hearing. If you watch that show last Monday, not this past, guys, the Raw after Mania, with the incident that we're talking about with Rollins and the sing-along, if you go back and watch that entire show, when we say it was a train wreck, it was absolutely like a catastrophe. Like, it seemed like they were throwing people out there and they didn't even know what they were doing. Seth goes out there, does a sing-along. Lashley goes out there and taps out Ali in like 21 seconds. It was just a weird night where it looked like WWE was throwing wrestlers out of the curtain and with no direction. It was really awkward, and it looked like Rollins was pissed. He was not there this past week. So yeah, I think there's definitely some truth. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. I think there's some truth to that. I think he's kind of unhappy with his position. But the truth is, he can't go much higher until he really finds out what his character is. I cannot get behind this outrageous character, man. And I love characters, guys. I still believe characters belong in pro wrestling. Shit, I loved The Ultimate Warrior growing up. I love Bray Wyatt now. Whether that's a popular take or not, doesn't matter. I love characters, man. The Undertaker was an all-time favorite for all of us. You talk about characters. But I don't know what this character is. He dresses really awkward, and he laughs, and he does sing-alongs. I don't know what this is. People compare it to a Joker. The Joker's much different, man, and he stays in that. The Joker stays in that fucking character. Rollins breaks that. Rollins breaks that many times during a promo. So maybe he's still trying to find the character. I don't know. I just don't know what Rollins is supposed to be. And until I find that out, I can't connect with him personally. And when he's not on a show, unfortunately, I'm not even going to notice. And that's what's happened. But, you know, is he upset behind the scenes? Yeah, he said he's got beef with Cody. That's real, guys. Cody has spoken about how real that is. Seth Rollins has spoken about how real that is. Seth Rollins believes that he deserves the spot that Cody has right now. And you can agree all you want, guys. I'll be the first to admit he put WWE on his back when Cody was injured and Roman didn't want to work. No question. But to act like we want to see Rollins and Roman, man. If you do, that's fine. The majority of us, I can easily say, no way. We've seen it so many times, and Rollins is not there right now. He's not connecting with a lot of us. Nobody needs to see WrestleMania 40 Rollins getting the fucking title. Cody was in that spot because there was that feeling. He did he played the game of chess and he won. Basically, checkmate. What Cody did by leaving Stardust behind, leaving WWE, gambling on himself, starting a whole nother fucking promotion, becoming EVP, taking another fucking massive gamble, leaving the EVP position, leaving the spot that he created, the company he created, to go to WWE, to do what he did. The company believed in him, and he's knocked it out of the park since. The injury sucked, but he still went inside a Hell in a Cell with a fucking pec torn off the fucking bone, half his body purple and blue, and he still rocked that match out. But the dude has not had one bad match since. He's rocking it out. WrestleMania, if we weren't talking about the botched finish, and guys, I say botched not because it's our favorite wrestler lost or not. I'm not even a fucking super Cody fan, but if you're a Cody fan, it's not even about him winning or losing. I say botch because nothing that has happened since makes sense. That's how you know it's a botch, right? It's supposed to go on Cody, and that's what sets up the Brock feud, and now you have a title for the main event of Backlash in Puerto Rico, and Roman can go home, and things make more sense, right? They don't make any sense right now, and that shows you it was a botch, just to get to Roman 1,000 days. No, nobody needs adversity anymore. Cody already had that. He already shut that down on Monday night. But you go back, and if it wasn't for that botched finish, we were going to be talking about how awesome, and literally, I don't even use that word because it's overused by wrestling fans, but that would have been an awesome match. Roman and Cody was really good. We forget about that, don't we? How good that match was because of the botched finish. Cody Rhodes has knocked it out of the park. He just played the game of wrestling chess better than everyone else. So, of course, he deserved that spot, Seth. It's the wrestling business, man. If it was just on going out there and having really good fucking matches, then you could easily say Sheamus should be fucking world champion 5,000 days. Drew McIntyre should be champion 4,000 days. But no, it's not about that. Chad Gable would hold all the titles right now if it was just work ethic and crushing it every match. Going out there and doing what you're told nonstop. Chad Gable would hold all the titles. Seth Rollins, it's not that easy, bro. You can think that you should have had Cody's spot just because of your work ethic and carrying the company on your show. I get it, bro. But it's not the case. There's no way we were going to watch you at WrestleMania 39 or in place of Cody. It would not make sense. It would not be as interesting. It would not be as intriguing. But we would sit back as wrestling fans and go, he deserves it. So there's a real beef there with Rollins and Cody. But my point is, for Rollins, until he truly finds out what his character's identity is, what he really is, what is his trajectory, what does he want us to believe about his character? Why should we fully invest beyond his theme music? And until he gets those answers, people like Cody Rhodes are going to bypass him as they should. People like Sami Zayn are going to bypass him as they should. People like Kevin Owens are going to get a third and fourth chance over Rollins as he should. I'll reiterate, I don't even know what Seth Rollins is supposed to be. It's so weird. Whatever he's trying to accomplish, I don't think he's met that goal yet. With that character. But guys, I do believe where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there is reports that Rollins is not happy, I do believe there's truth to that big time, and he's been expressing that as of late. And his spot on the card, and I think he got pissed off on Monday. You saw the video with or maybe you didn't, but there's a video of him yelling at production, or at least having a deep conversation, not happy. And when we come back from commercial, he just leaves. And then we hear he just left WWE that night and didn't come back, and then we did not see him on Monday. So yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to it. I don't think it's as bad as some people are making it out. I believe he'll be right back to work on Monday. He'll absolutely be in the draft. Maybe he just took some time off. Who knows? But no, Rollins is not leaving WWE. I mean, you have more concern over Bray Wyatt right now, because that's one dude we don't know anything about. Rollins, At least he's posted a time or two here and there. And he's, it doesn't look like he's that upset that he's done with WWE. But yes, I think there is friction there, and I don't think he's thrilled right now with that company. Whether that's justified or not, time will tell. That's the Seth Rollins situation in WWE. It is not pristine for either sides right now, Seth or WWE. We'll see how that marriage, if it can keep going strong, or there will be a divorce in the future. We will see. Moving on, next big topic. Where do you guys want to go? CM Punk. Let's go CM Punk, man. We're hearing there is a return date now for AEW. Just yesterday, in yesterday's podcast, we talked about Jeff Hardy returning. And the reports that CM Punk is not far behind. Because of the Wembley Stadium show, and Tony Khan is now panicking, and he's like, fuck, I gotta at least, I'm not gonna sell it out, obviously, but I gotta at least get 50,000 asses into those empty seats. How do I fill that up? I gotta get a lot of WWE names. So he rushed Jeff Hardy back. You want to talk about, I pose a question and people cry. I said best for business, bringing back somebody like Punk, who we know is toxic to most of the locker room. Not everybody, I understand. But we've heard most of that locker room are just not happy with Punk. And we've heard this in many locker rooms. So you bring back somebody like CM Punk, who's just, it's going to be a different type of feeling in the locker room now. And people are going to walk on eggshells. And even if you have a hunky-dory, everybody be happy speech in the locker room, a big meeting where everybody has... shares cookies and shares cocoa and reads each other some stories. If you think everybody's coming out of that meeting, hugging each other, smiling, and going, yeah, let's go out to dinner tonight, Phil, it's not going to happen. So you're bringing back Punk, and then you bring in Jeff Hardy, who is an absolute PR nightmare. I mean, you never know when the next fucking Jeff Hardy headline is going to come out, and you just hope it's not going to be harsher, more tragic than the one before. So you rush him back. And I posed the question, best for business or sloppy shop? And I'm telling you, fans cry. It's not a sloppy shop. It's not a sloppy shop, Bigsley. Well, first of all, I'm posing the question, relax. And second of all, we used to call WWE a sloppy shop for much less. This is pretty massive. I mean, you're bringing two dudes in that are not exactly great for the company. They'll give you a few fucking extra, maybe they put a few extra asses in seats, maybe a few viewers come back. But you ain't getting a lot, man, with Jeff Hardy coming back still injured. And that's what we're hearing, by the way. He's still recovering from a surgery, guys. So, I mean, somebody's talking about like the eye surgery, but there's also other nagging injuries we're hearing. And this motherfucker's back. We're hearing he's not fully cleared to wrestle actual matches yet. This motherfucker's out there doing swanton bombs! Swanton bombs! What the shit? How is that not a sloppy job? You just heard Punk admit that Khan wanted him to work injured, not cleared. And he said, oh, don't worry, we'll make it like a squash match. And Punk was like, are you fucking kidding me? No, I'm not going out there. You're not ringing the bell with me not cleared. I don't care if it's a squash or I just got to take 2 or 3 moves. He totally exposed Tony Khan for running a sloppy shop. So I posed the question for Hardy and Punk, but we already know Tony's running a sloppy shop because Phil Brooks, CM Punk, admitted that. And now you hear Jeff Hardy. He's not fully healthy yet. And the motherfucker's doing swanton bombs, running down, throwing chairs at humans. I just don't know what Tony Khan is not understanding, man. Health comes before anything. In 2023, we should know that, bro. Dude's out there doing swanton bombs. And by the way, before I get to the CM Punk, because that's what this is about, there were some people, you posed a question like a lot of us are astonished that Jeff Hardy is in an AEW ring and not a prison. We don't understand how he gets this many slaps on the wrist. But there are some people that don't understand. They were like, well, basically, he actually was punished because he had to pay his legal fees and his license is revoked, basically. Well, first of all, the legal fees. Are you serious? So you're saying his punishment is because he got caught? Because that's what legal fees are. You have to get a lawyer because you got caught. That's not punishment. That's his legal fees for being a dumbass. Time after time after time after time after time. But number two, his license being revoked is not a punishment because it already was 3 arrests ago. It's like his 5th fucking arrest. At least 3 times now, his license has been revoked. Probably 4 fucking times. After the first time, probably. I don't have confirmation on the 2nd arrest. But the last 3, his license was already revoked, numbnuts. That's what we're trying to say. That's why we love Jeff Hardy, man. He's a kind soul. But when you do the same thing over and over and over, and you're not getting the hint, you're not smartening up, now you're just being a fucking scumbag. Because you're not just about to injure yourself, you're about to take the lives of other fucking people. That's what we're trying to say. That's why we're mind-boggled, guys. He was driving without a license. It was suspended, and he was drunk, and he got a slap on the wrist and was told, just don't do it again, buddy. And what does he do? He drives again on a suspended license, drunk, and he gets caught. And they slap him on the wrist, and they go, okay, that's again, man. We're not going to say it again, man. Don't do it again, buddy. Now go back to work. And then he does it again on a suspended license, drunk, gets caught again. What happens? Slap on the wrist again, just recently. All right, I know we said this before, but we mean it. Stop driving without a license. And by the way, can you also, if you have the time, stop drinking and driving on a suspended license, please? Thank you. Go back to work. Right? That's what they're doing. Guys, that's what they're fucking doing. This is obviously a fail with the judicial system. How the fuck does somebody get this many fucking chances driving on a suspended license drunk this many times and getting caught? And the judicial system says, all right, we're going to give you a slap on the wrist. Now get out of here. How does that happen? Until what, guys? He finally takes somebody's life. Maybe his own and somebody. Who knows? That's the only end result here when you keep giving this many slaps on the wrist. Look what just happened to Sunny. Sunny Days. Tammy Cinch. How many times did she get a slap on the wrist? She actually went to prison a few times, but it was so short. She got right back out. You know, everybody deserves a second chance, no doubt, guys. No matter how monumental the mistake was or accident, right? Everybody deserves a second chance, no matter how monumental. If you fucked up royally, you do your time, you go away, you do your time, and we hope that you correct yourself, right? Come back better. And if you don't make the same mistake twice, then you've earned that second chance. And no harm, no foul. No matter how big or how severe the mistake or accident is, you definitely deserve a second chance because it could have just been that, a mistake and an accident. But when you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're being selfish and you're getting on the road, no fucking license, suspended, and it has been. You're drunk as fuck. Last time, 3 times the limit. He's already crashed cars into guardrails and trees. Or at least fucking guardrails. Flipped the car, I believe. Somehow survived. I mean, the only thing next is to drive head on into another car, right? Like Tammy, Sonny, got so many opportunities, drove on a fucking suspended license and drove right into a car of a 78-year-old man or some shit. Took his life. That's what I mean, guys. That's what we're trying to prevent. I've been a part of this and saw this too much growing up. I have many. I said this in yesterday's podcast, and I mean many, guys. Too many to count. Friends that have passed, that are no longer with us today, no longer with BC today, through that type of shit, that type of bullshit. So a lot of us, we're concerned no more. It's no longer about Jeff, guys. The first several arrests was like, oh man, I feel bad for Jeff. I hope he gets his act together, man. I love Jeff, right? We love Jeff. Much respect, Jeff. We're all in your corner, man. No, that's done, guys. I hope you understand the outrage is because it's no longer about Jeff. That's what the problem is. It's not about loving Jeff or what he's given to us. The outrage is because it's no longer about Jeff. It's about your mother or your father or your best friend or your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your dog who's coming back from the vet, your little fucking furry friend, right? And this fucking numbnuts drives head on into them and takes all of their lives. That's what it's about, man. Getting that off the fucking road. Getting somebody like that the help they truly need, which is going the fuck away for a while. Sometimes prison can help you, correct you. But no, he's right back in it. Not only did he not get prison time, this motherfucker, less than a year, 9 or 10 months. He just waited for the court case to clear, guys. That's what happened a couple weeks ago. He's not even fully cleared yet. He's recovering from fucking surgery. It's reputable sources are already stating that. And he's doing swanton bomb. Why rush him back? Is Tony panicking that much about Wembley? Did Jeff Hardy have to come back that quickly after his court case? It's a vicious cycle. His body gets busted up some more. He feels like he's got to fucking ease the pain. He takes a bunch of substances, gets fucking drunk as fuck, and makes the same call. He grabs a set of keys, he jumps into a fucking motor vehicle, and he crashes his car. Now we just play a game of where does he crash his car? And can we save fucking lives? Hopefully it's just a fucking tree. Hopefully it's just a guardrail. Hopefully he just drives off a fucking cliff and doesn't take anybody else. That's why there's outrage. It's amazing that people don't look at the facts. They don't educate themselves. And they go, well, Beasley, his license is suspended now, so he's punished, Beasley. This is severe punishment. Cut this shit. Now, you pose the question of a sloppy shop in AEW and people cry. You say it about WWE and they fucking throw a parade. I'm sick of the double standard tribalism. So for CM Punk, we talked about it in depth yesterday. BC told you a few weeks ago, I went over the numbers. People claim he's a needle mover. But I showed you the numbers, and he's actually not. He debuted at a 1.129, hovered a million several times, and even dipped into the 900,000 for viewership with CM Punk on the show. So I don't know where you think the needle is moving, because the AEW for the longest time, with or without CM Punk, hovered around 950 to 975,000 viewers, guys. And when Punk left, they still hovered that. Recently, just like all of pro wrestling right now, they've dipped. NXT's dipping, AEW dipped. Monday Night Raw's already back into the 1.8s. After Mania, by the way, WWE lost their entire Mania audience, which was just over 400,000. Snap of a finger, they lost them all in 1 week. That's how bad WWE Raw is once again. So all these shows are going backwards. So AEW, for instance, just pulled 866,000 viewers. They lost 11,000 viewers from last week, which was 877. So yeah, AEW could use anything right now. But for a while, they were at 950 to 975. Their top tier of their niche, which is 850 to 950. They were stuck there at that 950 and even toward 975. So my point is, if you're claiming that Punk is a needle mover, but by what? The smallest of fucking margins is the best I'm going to give you. He never pushed that company consistently over a million to a rate that would justify all the negatives that he brought into the company. And that was the big problem with Punk. And that's why I went over all those numbers. And I went over the pay-per-view buys to show you guys that the way they talk about Punk in the pay-per-view buys, you would think that he was bringing in double the buy rates. And he was not, guys. While he was with the company, the buy rates remained in the general stalemate that they were in. His buys, of course, you look at the cards, they were pretty stacked when he was involved. The problem is he wasn't involved in many pay-per-views. You really can't get a gist of how he was in terms of buy rates, like what he did for AEW. So I did my best. I put all of the buy rates for the time period that he was there. And you got a real good sense of how he didn't really move the needle as much as people thought he did. And I give you guys the ratings, and yet people just want to cling to this notion that AEW, the only way for it to be saved is Phillip Brooks. And it's astounding how the phenomenon of CM Punk Phil Brooks has taken over the actual ability of CM Punk Phillip Brooks. It's like the myth has become bigger than the actual talent, because you see Brooks today and he's pretty subpar. His promos are not what they used to be. He's had a couple good ones, but you could tell he's like searching. He looks way more beat up. Obviously, he's older. He's miserable. He admitted that. And we're going to repeat the process when he comes back, guys. He's going to be all smiles and look like he's ready to rock. And in just a few months, after just a few matches, there he is again. He's going to be miserable. He's going to have his circle in the locker room. He's not going to trust anybody. And it's going to be a fucking another CM Punk AEW war story. And this is what it's the same thing with Jeff Hardy. How many times do we have to do something before people finally say enough? And the problem is that we've started to say enough, and then after a while we like miss them or something, right? We think, oh, I miss the notion of Jeff Hardy in wrestling. I miss the notion of CM Punk, or yelling at the top of my lungs, CM Punk, right? So we say enough, we've had enough, and then after a while we're like, I'm ready for them to come back now, right? But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. That's what you're asking us to do with Jeff Hardy, and I call bullshit. That's what you're asking us to do with CM Punk, and I'm calling bullshit. But again, Tony, in panic mode, feels he has to have CM Punk in there to sell more seats for Wembley Stadium. We'll see if it pays off. The date that we are hearing, I believe it's June 21st. If I'm off, it's only by a few days, but I believe that's a Chicago Dynamite. And that's the date that we're hearing CM Punk is going to return. Now, there's something called upfronts for networks. Warner Brothers upfront is going to be in May 17th. That's where they're going to give you all their lineup for the coming seasons. Even though it's spring, they mostly give you the big lineup for fall, like all their new shows that are going to be, because that's when seasons really kick off in the fall. But they'll give you summer lineups as well. And we're hearing that AEW has this new show that they're going to be debuting, because there's not enough AEW shows, you know. I mean, whether it's fucking YouTube or a fucking streaming service or a network TV, you got Dynamite, you got Rampage, you got Dark, you got Elevation, you got Access. So let's add another one. And their flagship show, which is Dynamite, is only pulling 866,000 viewers. Their Access All Reality show is fucking only pulling in 298,000 viewers. And I'm pretty sure 6 people are watching Dark. So I have no fucking idea why they're bringing in another show when the ratings are going backwards. But evidently, Warner Brothers Discovery, TBS, TNT, all of them, that they're still thinking that this is better than a rerun of Law and Order SVU, or better than a rerun of Big Bang Theory. I don't see how Big Bang Theory totally eclipses anything Dynamite can bring in, ratings wise. So Big Bang Theory is a good lead-in for Dynamite, and then all of a sudden it falls off the rails. But they're thinking that another show is the answer. Okay, let's see, man. I'm hoping they're not putting so much onto this boat that it's going to sink, right? The whole purpose of a boat, you put a lot of shit on it, a lot of people, okay, that's great, and you get to your destination. But in this case, you're putting so much onto this boat, and I don't know if this boat can carry the weight. And this thing might either go into an iceberg or just completely sink. I don't know if Warner Brother Discovery is being more harmful than helpful at this point. I don't think they need another show, guys. What they need right now is to focus on Dynamite, focus on Rampage, and focus on putting those shows on the map, truly getting people captivated and invested. Once those start soaring to new heights, then you can start talking about another fucking show. But I bring up that date, May 17th, I believe, is the date of the upfronts, when Warner Brothers Discovery does their announcements for upcoming shows. That could be a date where you hear the announcement of CM Punk coming back to AEW. That is something that we are hearing. So those are 2 dates to look out for, guys. I believe we are well over an hour at this point, so I'm going to leave it at that so you guys can get amplified into the weekend. But I did want to touch up on one note before BC takes off, and that is much love and respect to Mickie James, who just forfeited her Knockouts Championship over an Impact. Left the title in the ring with the cowboy hat. And I believe now we're going to have Deonna Purrazzo and Jordynne Grace, I believe, are going to take on one another for that title. And a lot of fans are probably complaining because everything seems to revolve around those two. But, I mean, they are the top of the echelon right now. So I don't know why people are complaining. That's, it's like Rock Austin. When they were at the top of the mountain, you saw them wrestle quite a bit. But it made sense. It was fun, at least. And it's how it had to be. With Deonna and Jordynne, same thing. It sucks for Mickie. We'll see what her future holds. Big Mickie James fan here, and she's just still, even at her age, I honestly feel she is, the MILF that she is, I feel Mickie James is still one of the best female wrestlers in the world. But I also want to wish nothing but the best for Purrazzo and Grace and whoever becomes that new Knockouts title holder. But Mickie James forfeits her Knockouts title. Wanted to leave... didn't want to leave on a sour note, but... so let's look at it as a positive. Another chance to show our respect and adulation for Mickie James. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. I hope to be with you guys within the next 24 hours with the SmackDown review as well. It will most likely, again, be audio format only because these travels have to continue. But I will give you my thoughts, my full review on SmackDown within the next 24 hours. So as long as you're subbed, you ain't got to worry about a thing. You should be, well, you got to press the notification. Then you don't have to worry about a thing. Tube will notify you, and then boom, just pop on the review, and we'll talk SmackDown tomorrow. Until then, until next time, and there will be a next time, think, be, live, amped. Always top guy. I'm out. BC saying check you.